Hey guys, Sunil here, and in this video, I'll be going over copywriting frameworks that you can leverage to get more responses and book more meetings. With that being said, let's get started, right? Copywriting is a necessary skill. Paid media, you need copywriting. Outbound, you need copywriting. Content, you need copywriting because the scripts that you write for your videos, that's copywriting as well. Website, again, you need copywriting. A lot of the marketing that you do involves copywriting heavily because it's words, right? Better copy means that you're going to get better responses, better outcomes. As we mentioned earlier, copy is part of the fundamentals of outbound, right? As you can see here, offer, copy, in front list. Here we go, copy, right? If if we dial all of these four in, then we're going to get more conversions, which is leads, demos, calls book, close deals at the end of the day. Now, I'm going to be sharing with you a couple of copywriting frameworks that I've come across that you can potentially use for your outbound campaigns to drive more responses. Now, the AIDA framework, this is a classic, right? You use attention. A is for attention. You generate attention using a hook. Interest, you earn their interest fast by talking about a specific pain that they're facing. Desired, you add in social proof to show proof of desired outcome. You helped a certain company achieve a certain outcome, things like that. Action, you have them take action. However, go for a softer CTA though, such as want to see how it fits your team, something like that. Now, that's the AIDA framework. The next one is Poke the Bear by Josh Brown. This approach involves gently challenging the prospect's current methods to uncover hidden pain points. Where you are prompting curiosity and engagement, right? This is very, very good for even cold calls as well, where you aim to initiate a conversation without a hard pitch. Example, I often hear that for organizations your size, it takes a few days to calculate and send statements using Excel. How does that compare with your experience, right? You say something like that. I often hear that my agency founders struggle with acquiring new clients and that they are heavily reliant on referrals. Is that the case for you, or how does that compare with your experience? These are just examples, right? Of course, I'm giving you examples off the top of my mind. Of course, they got to be refined a little bit. So, yeah, that's Poke the Bear. So, the next one is the basic cold email template by Eric Nowalski, right? I came across this template in GEX Wrap 2024. And yeah, I think you should take a look at the document as well. Now, when it comes to the basic cold email template that Eric Nowalski describes, I hope I'm pronouncing his last name properly. So, yeah. Subject line 2 to 3 words that a customer or a colleague could have also reasonably sent, right? Always test against the tried and true question of a first name, company name, angular brackets, your company name, even the dreaded quick question. Sometimes these tend to still outperform our own ideas, right? The first line, why you, why now? Explain to the person why you're reaching out to them now and why we are reaching out to them. So, why now, right? What has prompted you to reach out right now? And again, also go over the reason that you're reaching out to them. Timing, explanation of timing, and explanation of what you're doing, basically. This is the most often AI generated sentence or the sentence where the list becomes a message, right? Meaning you should be so specific in your list that this first line is extremely relevant. Second line is poke the bear or explain your offer. Agitate the pain points by asking a question about how they do things or jump into how you can help. Third line is share a case study of how you helped someone else. Fourth line, call to action. PS line, some users, some don't, right? Now, I basically ripped it directly from his document. So, yeah, what you are seeing here is what Eric has mentioned in his document. Now, the next one is permissionless value prop PVP framework by Jordan Crawford. This is one of the more advanced ones, right? Where you just don't ask permission to pitch, you show the value upfront, right? Rather than saying, can I tell you how we can help? This framework proves that you have done the research and drops the personalized, relevant insight or improvement idea without asking, right? You just deliver value up front. So here's the breakdown of the framework. Number one, you start out with the insight about the prospect situation, a specific suggestion or idea that helps them. That's the second part. And the third one is optional, where you have a subtle CDA and no hard ask, right? So how does this actually work? Here's an example, right? Email to a head of marketing at a SaaS company. So subject line. Saw this on your pricing page. Hey, first time, notice that you have a book a demo CTA on your pricing page. I've seen a few of our SaaS clients like X and Y. A/B test this against an instant calculator and get 18 to 22% more conversions. Mocked up a version for you if you'd like to see it, right? You're delivering value upfront. You're like, hey, I have this calculator for you that you can take a look at. So there you go. That's just an example. Of course, right, in his LinkedIn, he has more advanced examples that is just plain outright awesome, man. That's how I can describe it. So the next one is the one sentence direct ask. This is a very simple framework that has been working for a very long time because it's direct to the fucking point, right? Now, in this framework, you basically ask, "Hey, we help you achieve X outcome, right? Open to exploring more about this. For this copy to work, you need a strong offer, right? Your offer needs to be so strong for this copy to work. So that's the one sentence direct ask framework where you just go over your offer and what outcome you help them achieve, add in some social proof if you want, right? And then, yeah, go for a soft CTA or a hard CTA. You can split test, right? Because sometimes hard CTAs also tend to work. Where you directly ask them for a call. That also works sometimes, but again, the way you'll know for sure is by split testing. The next one. I have a few more copywriting frameworks here, but I'm just going over the high level overview here. Right? Why are you paying? Approach by Leaf Bispin. I hope I'm pronouncing his name properly. The overview is right. He challenges the prospect by questioning current expenditures, prompting them to consider more efficient alternatives. Of course, you got the lead magnet framework, right? This is a classic, man. You gotta use this because a lead magnet is where you give something for free as a value, right? It has been working for a very long time. This is a classic in advertising. Third one is trigger, implication, pain, proof, and solution by Aaron Reeves. That we identify a trigger event, discuss its implications and associated pain, provide proof, and then present a solution. The next one is Trigger Personalization ICP Problem Solution by Tao Baker Phillips, where this framework combines a triggered event with personalized messaging tailored to the ideal customer profile, addressing specific problems and offering solutions. Now, the next one is Challenge of Similar Companies by Patrick Trumpy. I hope I'm pronouncing his name properly. Where in this framework, we highlight the challenges faced by similar companies to create relevance and urgency. The do the math approach by Thibaut Sawyers. I hope I'm pronouncing the name properly. Yes. Right, where we use quantifiable data to illustrate the benefits or drawbacks of a situation, encouraging prospects to consider the numbers, right? The last one is Champion Play by Brian Lamana, where we focus on identifying and empowering internal advocates within a target company to champion your solution. Here are some examples of each framework. By the way, shout out to Mitchell Lieben from Codaki for compiling all these examples and frameworks. The first one is the AIDA structure, example by Monica Grice. Too many no-show demos this week. Built a tool that slashes ramp time for SDRs, so they book higher intent meetings, not just more of them. Teams like company name example used it to cut demo no-shows by 37% in under 30 days. Want to see how it fits your team? The second one is trigger implication pain proof solution. And here's an example by Aaron Reeves. Was reading through your FY24 annual report, John, and saw you're expanding to the US from the UK. US from the UK. With the expansion, curious how you're planning to manage currency conversion from GBP to USD. Most companies use high street banks with 3% FX fees, meaning if you hit the revenue forecast from your report for FY25, that could be as much as $300,000 in fees. Deal paid 0.4% on average with our FX solution and save $50,000 in extra fees. If we could save you costs on transactions, would that be worth a chat? There we go. The next one is trigger personalization ICP problem solution. So, hey, first name, sort trigger. Most importantly, notice personalization. Typically, department teams struggle with problem one. That is a way you can solve, solution basically. Worth taking a look. Soft CTA there. Best signature. That's by Tal Baker Phillips. The next one is The Champion Play by Brian Lamana. I hope I'm pronouncing his name properly. If I'm not, apologies, Brian. So here's the example, right? Hi, first name. Saw that you recently joined company, example company from a Gong customer, previous company. Congratulations. Congrats on your new role as whatever title that they have right now. Given that you're no stranger to whatever, and I'll spare you the pitch. As I'm sure you'll agree, Gong could help Value Prop 1, Value Prop 2, and Value Prop 3. Well, chat, no expectations beyond sharing a few ideas and seeing where it goes. You basically create a soft CTA there. And then in the PS line, you insert a personal touch from LinkedIn profile. Now, for the champion pie, you basically identify previous buyers across your accounts. And then you execute this template. The next one is Then Why Are You Paying by Leaf Bisping. You're at a vending machine, you see Diet Coke, three options $0, $1, or $1.5 for a can. What would you choose? Zero, right? Then why are you paying Stripe 1.5% in international processing fees when you could be paying nothing? You're basically asking then why are you paying, man? You set the stage by describing a typical life situation. You give an example from a simple example from a real life scenario. And then you describe an obvious solution or choice you would make given several options. And then compare it to a choice a prospect is making related to your solution. That's what you're doing here. The next one is leverage content and outbound. Here's an example. Hey Jason, this is by Ethan Parker, by the way. Hey Jason, we've compiled a cheat sheet on how folks like Social Proof are getting their AEs self-sourcing more than 30% of their own pipeline. Can I send it over to you? Ethan. PS thought this was relevant because I saw you recently decreased your headcount, SDR headcount, and are hiring 3 more AEs. This is personalization that's completely relevant. You pull through sources like tools like Clay, basically. Clay will allow you to create this personalization pretty easily and effectively as well. Next one is Do the Maths by Thibaut Cyrus. I hope I'm pronouncing his name properly, man. Mary, noticed you have over 50 open positions on your job portal. We have tech scale ups reduce their new employee churn from 30 to 10% or less, with a typical cost of mishire around $30,000 per employee. This would mean going from 15 mishires to 5, meaning $300,000 saved. Well, the chat, there we go. What we're doing here is basically breaking down the math behind why our solution makes sense, right? So let's go to the next one. Challenge of Similar Companies by this example is by Patrick Trumpy. Hey Patrick, we are working with a lot of security officers at banks who faced losses of 9K per hour due to ransomware and had phishing victims every 11 seconds. We have a global team of experts available 24/7 to respond to and contain cyber incident and can react in hours, not days. When is the last time you tested your plan? Cheers, P. P.S. I would attach a link, but we both work in security. We can go on and on about more frameworks, but the general rules such guidelines when it comes to copywriting are number one, it has to be personalized and relevant. To make your copy personalized and relevant, the list has to be strong with the relevant data points enriched. We have to time social proof wherever possible, and we have to keep our CDA a soft task. For your copywriting to work, you need to have a good offer. The offer is the backbone of the copywriting. All right. If you have a shit offer, of course, it's going to perform badly. With that being said, I hope this video was useful and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.